Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to have you inside Audacious because this one is an extra special one. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who's not only the most incredible leader, teacher, and entrepreneur, but also one of my closest best friends and mastermind sisters, the beautiful Mina Irfan. If you already know Mina, you know she embodies true wealth, not just in her financial success, but in the way that she moves through life with absolute ease, confidence, and joy. And she has built a life that is fully hers. Like it's her. Her life is Mina. And it's deeply fulfilling, it's deeply abundant, and really aligned with her values. But what I love most about Mina is that she's built this life from a place of ease as opposed to hustle, like the hustle, the pressure. She built it through ownership. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, that the power of deciding, the power of the expansion that you get to have in your life with the wealth and the fulfillment. So we're diving in deep, and I'm so excited for you to receive it. Mina, my love, thank you so much for being here, saying yes to Audacious.
Thank you so much for planning this, inviting me, and I'm just happy that I get to hang out with you.
Oh, this is always a pleasure of mine and an expansion for me. I've always said it that speaking to you just from our day-to-days expands me and allows me to anchor into my power. So it was a no-brainer that you had to be on this summit that is called Audacious. And a little bit of truth telling, Audacious, I was running names by Mina, and Audacious was the one that she said, yes, that's the one, and of course it is. Yeah, so let's dive in, babe. One of the things that I so admire about you is that you don't wait for permission. You decide, you claim, you embody. When it comes to the internal shift that you had to make in order to make all of that happen and not seek the answers from the outside, but fully step into your own knowing, what was that shift for you?
Okay, that's such a good question and deep question. I would say I learned early on that people around me were just as uncertain as me. Like I grew up really uncertain, really living in fear. I had a lot of like most people, like childhood trauma and things. And so there was always this feeling of like, well, maybe other people know better than me. And the more I would ask other people, the more it became clear that everyone's uncertain. Like I had parents that would say one thing one day and then you do it and the next day they'd say, "Why'd you do this?" It's like you just told me that that was what you wanted me to do. And so it was just so much inconsistency. So I learned early on that if you're going to ask other people for permission or opinions, you're going to almost like double up on limiting beliefs. Like I already had my own. I had to work through, right? So it's like, okay, do I want my limiting beliefs and then this person's and then this person's and then this person's, and now I've like compounded all this fear. And so I learned to just move really fast. And before, like, I've made mistakes with this. I've made mistakes and had to like come back and learn how to do this in a way that really feels aligned. But I noticed that even if I made a wrong choice, I could still run circles around people who were still sitting and deciding or thinking about the thing because I would make a decision, move, make a mistake, correct it, fix it, up level, and like make a better choice, and they're still thinking about the thing.
Yes.
And so of course I grew up being called like, "Oh, you're too impulsive, you move too fast, slow down." Be patient. Oh my God, that one drives me crazy because I think impatience is my superpower. And so I move faster than fear.
Mm.
By the time fear comes up, I'm like, well, I already did it. Like I'm already in it. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing I think that's been my secret to success. It's like I know that I might fail, but it's like, who cares? Because we'll still have more time to correct it if we just move now versus if we get lost in a analysis paralysis. That's where it does not feel good to me moving slow and like thinking things through and figuring it all out. Ah, that doesn't work for me at all.
There was so much that you said there because I was just having this conversation with one of my clients that she feels paralyzed by making the wrong decision. And in being paralyzed by that, she's making no decision. And it's funny because she, or for anyone for that matter, by not making a decision, you're literally living the life that you are afraid of creating if you make the wrong decision. You're so afraid to fail that you feel so scared, and then in your day-to-day life you start to keep on living in fear. So it's like, what was the point if you are continuously living in this state of fear because of not making the right decision? Then you are, if you made that decision, you would have at least learned. You would have at least learned what didn't work. And I love that you claim that impatience is your superpower because in a world that we have been told over and over, be patient, be patient. It's what does that let's just be real here. If you were to be patient, what would that cost you?
Oh my God, everything. I don't think anything that I have right now in my life I would have. I
Hmm.
move at the speed of like thought at the download. Like, so the minute the desire hits, I have to take action. There's something in me that just it cannot, like I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And if there's an outside force that I allow to stop me or delay me, that's the only time where it doesn't feel good, where I get in my head, where I'm like doubling up on other people's limiting beliefs. But if I just ignore everything and just move when the download came, my marriage happened that way. My the way I raised my had and raised my kids, all my businesses that I've had, the way I wrote my books, I have over 130 courses, you know this, but I the only time I hesitated and didn't move fast, that thing didn't happen. But even if I've created a course, let's say that it's like not my favorite, creating that created the thing that was my favorite. So I honestly, I think patience is one of the biggest like lies. I'm sure it works for other people. I'm not saying that it might not be someone else's superpower, but for me, speed, momentum, velocity, um, impatience is really the way to go. Because by the time fear comes up, I've already launched the thing. I've announced it. I've done it. It's created. The money's in the bank. Like, what are you gonna do now, fear? Like, it's done.
Yeah, exactly. And something that you said, because there's a difference between the way that you navigated and some other people may who are struggling maybe, because when you're taking the action and like you said so brilliantly, even if it creates something that is not your favorite, you don't just throw in the towel and say that, well, that didn't work. So I guess like I suck. Or like, no, then that led to the thing that was my favorite. So it's, even if things are not going at this rate or at the way that you want them to, you make it go your way. And I think that is the beauty of your superpower, that it's not like, okay, if I don't get it, something is wrong in my life, or if I don't get it, like I'm gonna just quit. It's that everything works in my favor no matter what. Everything that I do leads to something else. So that is the difference that I think we need to take away from what you just said.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So Mina, there are women that feel like they are desiring too much. And what who we are talking to are women are doing great things in the world, but are they want more, they desire more. And you've mastered that in your relationship, in your life, in your business, in your the way that you traveled, in the way that you raise your kids, in every aspect of your life. You haven't shrunk any of your desires and your dreams. You give yourself that permission and without guilt, and that's at least my interpretation of it, that you don't have the guilt. What do you say to a woman that is like, it's either this or that? It's either like I can be the most amazing mother or the most amazing businesswoman. What do you say to her?
Oh my goodness, this is a big one that comes up for women. This is one that I never really understood, and I think that credit maybe could go back to my mom, Sheena. came from Pakistan, didn't have the best education. She had an education, but it wasn't like the highest, in that country. And she came over here in the US and she just didn't, no one gave her the memo that she had to choose. So she was a mom, she was a business owner, she was a social worker. She sent money back home to all her relatives. Like she had friends, she had community. There was nothing that was out of reach for her. So I didn't know that you could only have one thing or the other until I actually was like in high school and then college, and I started hearing these messages from society that, oh, if you have this, then you won't have that. If you do this, or you won't have that. And so going back to how I see my desires is that they're from God, they're from the divine. And so if my desires are from God, it's almost like a preview. It's not like, will you choose this? Will you have it? It's like it's already been done. It's decided. And so it's just the next code. It's just the next movement. And especially if you are a fast moving person like me, which I bet all the women watching this are going to be in that class of women that move fast, then you need, like, there's certain things you have to almost automate. Like, imagine if every time a desire came up and I'm like, oh, should I do this or not do this? Can I have this or not? That slows you down. And I hate being slow. So I've automated a lot of things in my life, including a lot of beliefs. And so there's nothing in me that will believe that my desires are wrong. So if I've already decided that my desires are always going to be correct because they're given by God, then I just move accordingly. And it becomes an internal game of not like, if I have this, I'll lose this, or if I can't have this, I can't have this. It's like, can I expand the capacity to hold both? So it's like my internal container that's the inner work, right? That's the part that you need to be able to hold. And to go back to what you were saying about like some people don't get it, like the whole impatience thing. I think there's a difference between dysregulated speed and regulated speed. I call dysregulated speed drunk toddler energy, where it's like the Tasmanian devil, right? It's like just chaos and you're making movements, but there's no velocity. You don't know where the hell you're going. You're just knocking things down. It's messy. Like if you've ever experienced where you're running late and you've gotten yourself in a panic state, and so you're trying to rush, but your rushing is actually like making you more late.
Mm.
Versus if you slow down and take a deep breath and you're in a regulated state, from there, moving fast just becomes a natural like byproduct of like I'm so regulated that and I'm expanding my container. I can add this to it. I can add this. I get to have a family and my dream career and my dream car and the wardrobe that I want, and I want to travel in luxury and I want to drive my luxurious car. Like, of course. Of course. So the question is not can you have it, it's can you hold all of it? Like, and that is something that you have to train for almost like an athlete. You know this, Shazad, you and I are like constantly, always obsessively doing this inner work. Is you have to be an elite athlete at like expanding your own container to be able to hold more things, because that's going to be the weak link.
Yes, 100%. Oh, there are so many things that you said. First of all, like it reminds me every single time God is like on me. Like every time I'm rushing to get ready to go somewhere, I like without fail, I poke myself in the eye with the mascara and then have to clean again. And it makes me like later, like it creates more and more delay because it's like you said, it's Tasmanian. It's like trying to, and then I also remember this one time I was running late about something and I was midway going there and I'm like, did I unplug my straightener? And I couldn't shake it off, so I had to turn back. And I'm like, oh my God, like if you had only just taken your time, those extra 5 seconds would have not cost you a whole half an hour that did. So I love that you said that. And also the what you said about I love this reframe. If it's a desire, it is from God. And if it's from God, then can you feel guilty about it? How can you feel like this is something that now you're bad for it or you're too selfish for it. If you believe that it's from God, and I believe in a very kind God, I don't believe that God will give me something in order to or give me a desire just so I couldn't have it. So I would feel like lack and I would feel like why victim about it. So that reframe, I think if anyone takes that from this, is going to be massive because it's no longer about you being selfish, but you're driven by your God-led desires. And I absolutely love that.
Almost look at it as like a preview of, okay, get ready, because like this is what you need to prepare to be able to hold now, versus like, can I have it? Can I not have it? Will
Mm,
I have to sacrifice something? Well, that's on you. Can you expand your container to hold it? That's a big thing. Like my kids, my husband, like container work in our house is huge.
mm.
It's because it's not about like any outward thing that's saying, can you have it or not? It's like, can you hold it inwardly? And if you decide you can, then you can.
Exactly. And that brings my next question so beautifully because a lot of women in around us, successful women, are really good at making money. But when it comes to holding money, when it comes to growing money, there is that spot that is like, I'm making all this money and I have nothing to show for it. And it used to happen to me too. I remember there was my very first month that I made $55,000 in a month. Then at the end of that, the next month, I had $5,000 in the bank. I'm like, how is this even possible? I used to make 50,000 in a year, and I had it more in 1 month, and then I had nothing to show for it, or at least it felt like it. So, what when it comes to that container, being able to hold it or grow it, what do you say to that?
That was a big one in my life too, Shazad, as you know, because I learned from my parents, they were immigrants and they worked really hard and they were able to make money, not like by our standards, obviously, but being immigrants, they could make money, but my parents could never hold money. Like it would come in one door and out the other. I mean, my parents won the lottery 3 times in their life, which is like unreal, right? And it wasn't like millions, but like 40,000, 55,000, like a lot of money back then, and definitely for us, and lost it all. And so I was looking at them, and then I had my relatives who were really, really, really frugal
Mm,
and worked really hard and had, a cap on what they could earn, but like they had money. They paid off their homes in a certain amount of time. They had paid off cars. But the examples were either you can be an entrepreneur and spend money like you want to, have your desires, but then have nothing to show for it at the end, or be so frugal and from my perspective, not very fun. You can't go out to eat. Like there was so much limitations in their life that I was like, well, I'd rather be this. I'd rather like spend money and have fun. And it wasn't until my first business, which was in real estate, I got into real estate very early. I was like 21, 22. My mom was already in real estate, and I started making six figures and then multiple six figures almost immediately. I was not only selling real estate, but I started purchasing real estate and rehabbing it, flipping it. I owned a construction company at one point. So I was making a lot of money, especially considering this is like, over 20 years ago. So that money is like worth even more. And it was like coming in and going out like water. And when I got married and my husband retired me from that business, and I was looking at myself going, what the hell just happened? Like I had nothing to my name at that point. I had a condo that I owned. I had sold all my investment properties. I ended up giving that condo to my family. They really needed a place to stay. So I ended up giving that away. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally like showing up with like a suitcase of clothes. Like, what just happened? And so sitting back and evaluating everything, working through that, I had a lot of shame and guilt around this that I couldn't keep any of the money, working through that, like almost like psychoanalyzing, like what the hell, and then noticing, oh my God, this is how my parents lived, and then realizing it was fun. It was so fun, like this time of my life where I was like spending money, like it was like party like a life rock star. Remember that song? Like that's all it was, like buying whatever I wanted. Just I would walk into a real estate property, not even get like a full like inspection, be like, I'm buying it. It's like it was a whole other world. But it was after I became like got married and I had that time to look back, I was like, oh my God, I never learned how to hold money. And then I had to really do like the masculine inner work. So I realized at this time that it in my brain it helps to separate money as like feminine and masculine.
Hmm.
And so the feminine money, the way I look at it, is your ability to manifest and call in, and your ability to really enjoy what you have, like really deliciously enjoy what you have. And then the masculine aspect of money in my mind is the structure around it. Like, like having containers for this is for investing, this I'm saving for my whatever, for my future house or whatever. And really being able to have certain guideline structures, even financial boundaries. Oh my God, I like was giving away money like you won't believe. Like financial boundaries was a big one. And I think that one's more of like that masculine container. And so being able to reflect back, I think having lost that money was a very important part to me being able to actually have money now. Because I see people in the industry, in all industries, making so much money online, like killing it, like they're printing money and they have nothing to show for it. So when I say eight-figure creator, I'm like, this is really important to me that I actually have an eight-figure net worth
Mm,
because the way I'm counting it, otherwise that doesn't, to me, from my standard, then it's not eight-figure. Because if I can't hold that money, if I can't grow it, if I can't invest it, I've only done half the inner work.
mhm.
So that I think separating it that way and being able to, what happens in me too is that if I'm ever like, okay, we're going to the next level, I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to work on? Is this more of a feminine money thing or is this more of a masculine money thing? And that really helps.
That is what you said about the whole like eight figure, like you don't call yourself eight figure because it's your net worth, not because it is something that you've made. I think it's a really big conversation that we need to have and online because we see it. Like we live in a world right now that especially with like AI and pictures that people can, just create and it can feel like, oh, I need to show that I have money. I need to prove that I have money. So I have to, even if it's like it drains my bank account, go and like fly first class or do this and do that. That is not coming from a place of absolute joy, but it is coming from a place of in order for me to have more money and have more business, I have to like spend it. And I think that's a big difference between that and a desire. Like if you have a desire or like you said, to fly first class, like create that money for it and put that aside, but don't go into your savings and don't go into what you want to invest. And I think having that container, because I remember working with a client that she felt like it feels like punishment when you are not getting to spend the money the way that you want. Then it means like your parents saying, then don't waste your money, don't do that. But the evolved woman version of it is that this is just like anything in life, the masculine container, we only will feel safe if our masculine parts are in place. If there is no container, the feminine will just spill all over, like the water and the glass example. And I think that having the financial boundaries, having structures into how you want to invest your money, grow your money, hold your money, and then definitely enjoy your money is something that will not wreck your nervous system, for God's sake.
Exactly. I love that you brought that up because growing up in that household where, yay, there's money and then there's no money, right? There's like money and we're like just going crazy and then there's like no money for food in the fridge. Like it was like a constant roller coaster. And I didn't even realize that I recreated that in my own life in the real estate business. And so the nervous system part is important because I want money to feel really good in my life and in my kids' life, and I want them to have that legacy. That was another thing for me to really learn this lesson. I think when you have kids, like it just like changes the whole way you're thinking. Because I'm like, no, I want to leave a legacy. I want 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. And that was really important. And so, even like when we were flying, when we decided to fly first class, it was like you just the dividends from our investments can pay for that. Like it's not like, oh, I'm gonna fly first class, but then like I don't know how to pay my team the next month. Because I've seen things like that in the industry as well. And like, no shame or no shade on anyone. I get it. I was like that in my real estate business. And you know what I was thinking, babe? It goes back to what we were saying in the beginning of how um, there is probably people that are thinking about creating their first business and they're stuck in analysis paralysis. And I created my first business, made a ton of money, lost a ton of money, learned the lessons, and then created the second business in the time that they're still thinking about. So, what you could consider failure, oh, you made all this money in 6 years in real estate, and then where is it? It doesn't matter because the lessons were here. So I was able to recreate it, but this time I had the added education and embodiment of like, okay, this time we're going to keep it. So technically, there's no mistake because I needed to go through that. I had to go through that to be able to do this.
Hmm. Exactly. And I think it's only a failure if you learn nothing from it and you didn't change your life because of it. And that is something that we really need to start shifting, that instead of trying to avoid failure at all costs, to see who are you going to become because of it? How are you going to be better? How is the next steps in your life going to be, not from a place of fear, but from a place of evolution of what you went through? Like when a kid first starts to walk, you're like, oh, you fell. Well, it's too bad. You failed at walking. No, it's that trial and error until it becomes part of who you are. And I really love that you said that. And I really want to, because we talk about this a lot, and we mentioned it a few times, and I think it's really important to talk about the whole nervous system. We live in a world that scale, like it's beautiful, it's awesome that we want to expand, we want to grow. But to a lot of people, that level of scaling comes at the cost of wrecking their nervous system. And I know that that's not, I mean, you've evolved so much in it and you teach it. And so I want you to talk about how you continue to grow your business. You continue to create so many courses, like for God's sake, 130 and more. I know like Mina is creating something every week. How do you do it without wrecking your nervous system?
I love this. Okay, so I think it goes back to like my personal values of playing from a position of strength. This is something I think my husband is like literally brainwashed in me because like if he sees me even like before stress is about to come on, if I'm like getting into that mode, he'll say, "Are you still enjoying this? I thought you were doing this for fun." And he always like brings me back to always play from a position of strength. You don't need to be doing this. This is for fun. And so fun and pleasure is like a really big personal value for my family. And that we believe in freedom, and freedom comes from being able to do things that we enjoy doing, right? And of course, having staying power and all that, that's also another personal value. So I move really fast when I'm in pleasure and flow, so which means my nervous system is regulated. And when I'm not, then I text you, right? Like you already know. It's like, okay, wait, what's happening over here? Or like something's feeling off. And so you have to have those like checks and balances in your life where I think this is like human nature, by the way. We were having a conversation in my mentorship group, Kainat, with my students, and I was like, hey, that happens to me too, still. So it's not like you get to a level where you're like, okay, you're never going to have a negative thought. You're never going to doubt yourself. You're never going to have a moment of uncertainty. It's just you get better and better to catch yourself and like come back. So I already know that if I'm feeling kind of weird, my energy is off, then I have people in my life, you, my oldest son, my husband, where I'm like, hey, something feel like, right? I'll just ask for feedback and it's like immediately, bam, back in the flow. So my best advice for this is that are you like ask yourself, am I still enjoying this? Because here's what I've learned. When I'm having fun, when I'm like in pure joy, it doesn't matter how hard something is. Like I'll like stay up 12 hours, I'll forget to eat. Like I will do the thing. You can't even pry me away from it because I want to do it. Even if it's like technically hard to a lot of people, I'm like, I will figure this out. But when I'm in like a dysregulated state, like the simplest, easiest thing, like rebooting your computer is all of a sudden like you're annoyed. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't figure this out. Like, what the hell? And so in those moments, I'm like, okay, pause, like walk away, textures on, like take a deep breath, go and ground outside, and like the computer will figure itself out. So that's really a clue for me is I don't want to do something from like a dysregulated state, especially when you're moving at my speed. You cannot be doing anything. We're back in drunk toddler energy. Yeah, so that becomes key. Having fun. Are you still in your pleasure? How do you know that you're having fun? No matter how hard the thing is, you're there doing it. You can't stop. And you're just like in it, fully alive in the experience.
I love that you said that. This is a conversation that whenever a woman tells me that, but business is hard, like starting my own business is hard, I'm like, well, if you want easy, easy, then go work for someone else and have that provider money because this type of work that you're supposed to be doing, is it hard? Well, in terms of like the emotional parts of it, it may be, but if you're not loving it, if you're not doing it because you can't imagine not doing it, it feels nourishing. It feels like you and I, like the way that we talk about inner work or our support our clients, it really does not feel like hard work. It may take, I know that you recently like 6 hours of coaching your clients and holding a class, and you texted me after that voice note, like she's like, it sounded like she just came from the most like adventurous, pleasurable thing that she's ever done because it is that much fun. So I really love that you said that this is something that gets to be fun for you, gets to be pleasurable to you. There are challenges that will make you a better version of you and support you. Nailed it in that without having people around you. Like for me, without Mina on this journey, it would feel so lonely, especially when you're working from home. When there was like when I used to go to the office in my 9 to 5 job, well, paid me $50,000. It really was not good, but just being around people and all that, that at least made up for it. But now that you're running everything from your business and having a family, having friends and community and masterminds that are right there with you, not to teach you, not to coach you, but just to remind you of your power. And that's, I think, what you and I are so, and I love our sisterhood and friendship so much, is because nobody's trying to fix the other person. It's just like, hello, mirror, like, Mina, you're the most amazing person. We know that, right? Remember? And they're like, oh yeah, like I have created multiple 8 figures and I have everything in my life. So all is good. So having those friendships, community, people around you is, I think, so key. And I'm so glad that you talked about it. Yeah. So here's the other side now, though. You have created the most incredible community with how many years in YouTube now?
YouTube 14 years.
14 years. 14 years of consistent showing up online and creating that community. And with the visibility comes that judgment, comes that external noise. And that's a lot of people who fear getting bigger and scaling because they just want to stay in their safe bubble. They're making good money, but they're like, unconsciously or consciously, like they're so afraid of that judgment. They're so afraid of that external noise. How do you deal with that? How do you navigate that?
Mm. I always say, if you want to really truly meet yourself, start a business, get married, and have kids, there's like no other inner work on this planet that I've seen where you will meet yourself every single day in new ways. And so I've had all like when I started YouTube 14 years ago, I didn't have a business. It was just like just connecting with people, sharing from my heart. And then eventually, like in 2011, I started the YouTube channel. in 2016 is when I launched my coaching business. And then 2017, I started launching digital programs. So there was like this whole journey. And I'm glad it happened that way because I had time to learn to take criticism and deal with negative comments and still be able to hold my own. And really, I think YouTube honestly helped me understand my personal values and who I am. And like, because when you have I lived, I feel like up until this point in a bubble where I thought like these are the people that I know, this is how the world thinks. And being exposed to so many different types of people online all of a sudden made me realize, oh, like there's way more types of people out there with like such a big variety of like education, emotional intelligence, experiences. And that really helped me say, well, then who I am, who am I? What do I believe? Like, what do I think about this thing? Do I really agree with that? And it helped me form my own beliefs and my personal values a lot stronger. And again, at every level, like my one of my former mentors says, new level, same old devil. It's like the same stuff will show up at every level, but now you just need to expand into it bigger. And so at every level, your capacity has expanded to be able to hold more criticism, more noise, more love, more appreciation. That's another thing. I think a lot of people talk about the online space and being able to hold, like being able to hold criticism, being able to receive that much praise on the daily, like waking up to people pouring their heart out in emails and comments saying, you've changed my life. Like, I pray for you and your family. That took a lot. In some ways, that took a lot more inner work to be able to hold the praise than the criticism, because I think we're all used to receiving criticism. That level of praise was new to me. And so I think there's gonna be duality. It's again goes back to instead of focusing on them, it's like, what is this teaching me inside of me? Where do I need to expand my capacity to be able to hold my own energy, be in my own field? And I've had some, this extreme examples of this, and some like minor things early on that prepared me for the extreme things. And at the end of the day, you're stronger than you think you are, and all of it is happening for you. Honestly, I can look back and tell you that even the worst of the worst, it's always happening for you because think about it, like you're literally doing inner work on stage. Like people are watching you, your family is watching, your children are looking up to you. And so if anything that happens that tears you down and then helps you like rebuild stronger like a muscle, it's happening for you. So that's the biggest takeaway is don't quit, have staying power. It's not a failure. It's just God's rebranding you. He's making you stronger. He's tearing you down so the muscle will grow. And that's gonna be my biggest thing is it's all what you need to do, like your inner work. It's never about the outside person. And remind me of this if I ever forget. Like I call her my chat GPT. She remembers Shirzad's memory. Like it's unreal. It's so interesting because I feel like I don't have a good memory. And like I've been raised to believe that too. So it's like become an identity, like, oh, I don't have a good memory. You have a photogenic memory. You're so good.
Well, the thing is that, well, first of all, I'm going to come back to that because that was a masterclass on its own. But I always, and maybe this is something that I believe is that like when your heart is in it and when you feel so much love and you feel so much, like things start to like have an imprint on you. So the love that I have Mina and I know she has for me is that it's like she is a part of my heart. So I don't forget and I always see her in her most beautiful power because she is one of the most powerful women that I know. And it's funny because we know each other for when we basically started our businesses. And two women from Middle East, that part of the world, coming and now claiming their voices and putting a stake in a platforms that is not that many people that look like us and sound like us. So it became this friendship has become so sacred to me, and I can't forget because I see like myself, and in her I see everything that I desire, and I know it's just a friendship that is going to be a lifetime. So it's been an honor. And you said something that I actually didn't think about, and it's so true. Like, yes, the judgment, the harsh criticism, the backlashes that we get online. That's hard. And then through our hard childhood, we faced a lot of it, and it may have prepared us for it. But the receiving of all the love, the receiving of all the praises, if you haven't done the work for that, it's like any relationship that you sabotage. Like, we work with women with their relationships as well too, and they're like, oh, this relationship is really healthy and really safe, and the person is just loving me and making my life easier. It's so boring. It is so it is. It's just something that is missing, and it's always that sabotage that comes because there is that feeling of, if it's not challenging, if it's not making me feel crazy, then it must be something wrong with it. And I can't hold and receive all that love and praise. So you're so right that we have to expand our capacity for that as well, because we may be a pro now at receiving all that judgment, but the receiving of that love is a whole different story.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that too, because I'm thinking back at every single point when I like sabotaged my career a little bit, meaning like it was like especially with YouTube, where it's like really taking off, and then like I do something unconsciously to pull back, has been when way more praise than I can handle was coming in at a faster pace. And so looking back, it's that I can't handle. And no one talks about that. We talk about the judgment and criticism a lot, like the trolls and all of that. The love, I think most of us, isn't it Marianne Williamson quote that it's like it's our success that we fear, right? And I think that's the thing that will require more container expansion. You can easily block out, like you understand that some people are trolls. You understand that there's going to be, but like to be loved publicly on that level, that requires a whole different level of holding.
It's so true. It's so true. And thank you for bringing that up, because I think that will unlock a lot of people now. Like, oh, it's not just I'm afraid of people seeing me and judging me. No, you've already got that. You know that every person that's ever done anything in big in the world has received a lot of judgment. You know that already, that part. But the whole love part, that is our work. So thank you for bringing that out. It's amazing. Mina, I mean, can talk to you for 24 hours straight, but I want to be respectful of your time and your genius that you have done. But I want to close this up with just asking you that, for the woman that is listening, and she is on the verge of that breakthrough. She is about to expand and go bigger. And then there is this thing that is holding her back. She doesn't know if it's a fear or a doubt or whatever it takes. What advice do you have for her? Or maybe you can think of Mina from maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago. What would you tell her?
I would say jump in, like work faster than fear.
Mm,
Looking back, you'll know, oh, that's what I was afraid of. That and psychoanalyze after you've already done it, not before. So that's what most of society would call being impulsive. But again, I think of those things as my superpower. And so I'll do the thing, and then we'll have time later to extract the gold and the lessons and the like we can analyze it later, but just do it. Because even if when you failed, like I failed in my real estate business, what I have experience owning 20 real estate properties, making multi-millions in that business in the 6 years, like all the experiences like that, you can't take that away. So there is no such thing as failure. It's just lessons and wisdom and knowledge. So just do the damn thing already.
I love that. And thank you for saying that, because inner work can become an addiction when you're like, I'm just doing inner work. I'm not doing anything. I'm doing inner work. No, inner work is actually go do it. And then we will go back and see what didn't work and how you felt and all of it, instead of first, let me become perfect in every way that nothing triggers me. I have no fear. I have no doubt. I have no. Take the freaking action, decide, move, and then hire Mina. and work through whatever you need to work through. I think that would be the best way to go about it. Amina, thank you so much. This conversation is my absolute favorite. I'm gonna go back and watch it again. I can never get enough of you. Um, where do you love to for people to connect to you, to come see what you're about? Obviously, 12 years of social media, but where's your favorite place for people to come and plug in?
So I have two YouTube channels. My main one is the Universe Guru YouTube channel. That's the one I started 14 years ago. My second one is called Million Dollar Babes, which is one of my four stages of consciousness. That one more is about entrepreneurship and money. The Universe Guru is more about like general inner work, like all inner work, marriage, relationships, parenting, that thing. So depending on what you want to plug into, I've got two options for you. I'm also on Instagram. Instagram is more just more behind the scenes of my life and what I'm up to and things like that. And I have a little baby, it's like a 2, 3 hour masterclass that you can plug into if you want to learn why people like us, men and women like us that are overly driven, multi-passionate, creative, visionaries, innovators, why we behave the way we do and learn our shadows and our gifts and the frequency of certainty masterclass. I have a small cover charge of $22 on it right now. I'm really passionate about educating people about who they are and why they function the way they do so that we can amplify the gifts and minimize the shadows because we are innovators, we're visionaries. There's some shadows that come second guessing ourselves, sabotaging the need to burn it all down after you've spent so much energy in building it up,
Mm.
constantly doubting yourself, thinking that you haven't done enough even though you've done more than anyone else you know. All of these are the shadows of what I call the huntress genome. And so if you want to learn more about why you do certain things, there's nothing wrong with you, by the way. A lot of it is the shadows of that gene. It's, in the industry, it might be also known as like the alpha genome. We have it. The thing with us women having it is we've never been allowed to use it in the way that we're allowed to use it now. We know it's okay to be an alpha man, but there's stigma around and novelty and newness about like, how do I do this as a woman? Can I still be in a romantic relationship? Will I still have a masculine energy man? There's so much stigma around the alpha woman, except it's a genome. Like it's who you are. Like you can't deny a part of your genetic makeup. And so learning to work with that is something that just like lights me up. And so if you want to learn more about that, frequency of certainty masterclass will be the best.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I'm definitely gonna have all the links there for you. I think this masterclass like literally is the next right step for anyone listening to this, watching this. And then also I want to mention that Mina has many books, but I think your book, Lady Balls, is also very relevant to this conversation. Here it is. I'm also
My
going to link
baby.
that, yes, in the everything. So you can just go and plug in into Mina's world. I can tell you firsthand that being in her world has changed my life by miles and hundreds of steps forward. So I cannot recommend her work enough on her YouTube and her master classes, programs, and all of that. So thank you, Mina, once again. This was so life-giving to me as always. And thank you for your sharing your incredible gifts with us.
Thank you for having me, babe. I love you.
I love you.